welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Kat from Wandering Bird.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
What's going on? Well, I'd like to know one thing is you've invited Cat Bird in and she's stolen my lines.
Of course she did. She stole the limelight as well.
Oh, my goodness. I tell you what, it's the Motorhome Matt podcast, brought to you with that leisure shop. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Cat Bird. No, I'm not. I'm Motorhome Matt.
You might be able to work out who's our special guest on today's podcast. It's number 97, where number 100 is coming very soon.
It's getting close. What are we going to do for 100?
Give Keith a bonus. That's a good one. Yeah, I think that's good. Otherwise, you could be working with somebody else.
Hi, welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Kat from Wandering Bird.
Are you going to keep doing that all the way through this?
No. Okay, then let's delve into the news first of all, shall we? The new Ford Nugget. We did mention this in the last podcast when you were at...
Caravan Salon.
That's the one, in Dusseldorf. But we didn't go into any detail. A lot of press about this. Yeah. What was your first impressions? What did you like?
I love the look of the whole thing. I think the roof opening up the wrong way sets it apart from its direct competitor, the VW California. So the roof goes up high at the back, which means the kitchen's at the rear. And I've heard that heavily criticised as a layout, but it's a layout that's been around for a very long time. And actually I quite like it, because if you've got the kids in bed, in the rock and roll bed, you can be in the back cooking and preparing an evening meal, particularly if you've got young kids, and you're not disturbing them. Which I think is a really practical layout for families, and it's a really practical layout for couples as well. So it's a really well-equipped vehicle, great fridge that's in a drawer. I think it's a 31-litre fridge, freshwater tank on board, wastewater as well, heating. It's got everything you need. Ford have developed their own, in conjunction with Westfalia, their own control panel and an app as well. So it's a very, very cool camper van. And not cheap. I mean, they're sort of going to be, I think, in the region of £80,000 when they launch next year in 2024. But certainly one to look out for. And they're going to be sold in every Ford showroom that sells the Ford Transit. So this is going to put them on a par with VW that sell the California, and you go and buy a Golf or a Transporter. There's the Cali in the back of the showroom. Ford are going to be doing the same. So yeah, it's exciting to get the camper van real mainstream.
And how do the mainstream dealers feel about things like that? Because your Ford and VW are stealing their thunder, aren't they?
No, are they? I mean, I think they're just joining in the foray. I mean, on every street corner, there seems to be a camper van converter, and it's certainly a boom part of the market. I think it's part of the market that's feeling under pressure at the moment, with sales slowing, because traditionally the people that buy them are younger couples, young families, and they use them as a second car, which is where this is such a great versatile vehicle, and affordability has become a challenge as prices have gone up. So I don't think they're stealing the market. I think the market's massive, and I think there's certainly an opportunity for Ford with this vehicle, particularly as they will be launching a petrol, a diesel, and a plug-in hybrid version as well as we go into next year. So it's exciting.
It's the Motorhome and Caravan show at the NEC, the big show in the UK, 17th to the 22nd of October. Yeah. The podcast is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Motorhome Matt's going to be there. You're also on the expert advice panel every day.
I am. At lunchtime, there's a really good session on the main stage where you can come along and ask questions of a panel, of which I will be featured, and we will sit there and answer whatever question comes from the floor. We did submit some questions last time we did this to the host, who was Roland Rivron. I think it's Roland again running around with a handheld mic. So if you're going to the show and you've got a question for a panel, then that might be a great place to pose it.
And how do you get tickets?
You can go to mcshow.co.uk and you can go and buy a ticket there. And if you use the code MMAT, you'll get a discount on your ticket.
So that's Matt with two M's at the beginning, MMATT.
Correct, yeah. And parking's included in the ticket price. So people often say, do I have to pay for parking? No, it's included.
That's great, isn't it? One of the few places where you go, you don't have to, when you get there, shell out another 20 quid for parking.
Well, yeah.
Fantastic. It's a great show. I went for the first time last year. Everybody was so wonderfully welcoming towards me. I'm really looking forward to it again. And the best thing was meeting you. When you came up and said you listened or you watched the podcast, that was just fantastic. And particularly when you said it was useful. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you again. Don't be shy. Come up and say hi. Take a couple of pictures as well. And you never know, you might be able to take away one of That Leisure Shop and Motorhome Matt's freebies?
Well, you never know. You've committed us now. We'll give away your shirt.
Yeah, it's quite sweaty today. It's a warm day. So That Leisure Shop is there with Maypole, I
That's right, yeah. So Maypole at That Leisure Shop will be the name of the stand, and we're there selling Maypole's range of security and winter products. I anticipate that's going to be the focus of the stand, which is going to be a brilliant place to go and get your motorhome or caravan cover or a topper. So you want to cover the top of it, protect it from tree sap and bird lime and so on. Maypole have a brilliant range which we'll be there selling, and wheel clamps, steering wheel locks, a whole load of battery monitoring stuff and battery charging, all those useful products that you need as you put a motorhome or caravan into storage through the winter. So come and say hi to That Leisure Shop team as well. They're there with Maypole.
Now, we will be doing podcasts at the show, so come along and join in if you're fortunate enough to be there when we plug in. But you can also sponsor us at the show, and more importantly, if you're arriving by train, we have completely bought out, like last year, the NEC and the little corridor that goes along, and any sponsor can be on those posters as well. So looking forward to you getting in touch.
This is at the Birmingham International Railway Station, yeah, so we've taken over every poster site, the escalators, and all along the corridor. There's all these lit posters. Did you see them last time?
I did. They're fantastic. People keep sending them to me every so often. I got one about a month ago from somebody I know.
That's a funny thing.
Is this the podcast that you do? This Matt Geezer? Yeah, that's it.
That's
yeah.
a Muppet, yeah.
Because my picture's not on there. Just saying.
It's me pulling a stupid face, but as is normal. But yeah, the posters are still there now. So months later. It's fantastic. It's brilliant free exposure. Whether it's driving any new listeners, I'm not sure. But
you don't have to actually pay for it again, do you?
No, we paid for 2 weeks, the week just before and after the show. So if you're interested in sponsoring us and working with us, you could have your brand at Birmingham International Railway Station for months after the show. I can't promise you that, of course. But certainly during the show, we have bought 2 weeks there. We've also bought some huge branding again in the atrium, that huge banner. We bought that one again, and so we're looking for partners to help us pay for that as well and feature on there. So those companies have to be an exhibitor at the show. So if you are exhibiting at the show and listening and you want your brand in the atrium or in other parts of what we're doing at the show, then get in touch. But there you have to be an exhibitor. That's been made very clear to us. So yeah, do partner with us at the show if you want to.
And if you're a member of the public and you're arriving at Birmingham International, take a selfie gurning with Matt alongside you on the poster, and you never know, there might be something special in the post to you. One of our pens. Yeah?
Yeah, or your shirt.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast, brought to you with That Leisure Shop. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Let's talk now about your favourite product of the week, and it's mirror guards.
What's a mirror guard?
That's why you're here. He's just reaching down. We prepared one earlier, Blue Peter Styley. Yeah, no, that's Valerie Singleton. Be careful of her. Yeah. Okay.
Shep, come on.
Yeah,
now I'm showing my age.
Yeah, that's a brown box.
Hang on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. This is.
So these are brilliant.
This is great radio.
If you own a motorhome, certainly, whether it's on a Fiat or a Ford, the mirrors stick out a long way, particularly if it's a coach built. So they're what's known as long arm mirrors, and they can be easily hit by oncoming vehicles.
Otherwise known as Charlies in royal circles.
Charlies. What,
King Charles.
Big ears.
Big ears.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yep.
You'll end up in the tower. And these covers go over the mirror. And they're like an impact protector. The classic is driving along and dragging your mirror in the hedge as you're trying to get onto your side of the road. And there's a disused signpost buried in the hedgerow, and bang, hits the mirror, breaks the mirror. These mirrors, particularly the Fiat ones, £300-400. Ford Transit, not much less. And these covers, £120, £150, depending on which one you buy. They give you that extra protection and the chance of not destroying your wing mirror. Really good. We sell loads of them.
Your special guest today, Kat Bird, mentioned she had trouble figuring out which were the right ones for her van. So how do you go about it then, Matt?
Well, the key is there's two brands really that are easily accessible and available. It's the Ford ones and the Fiat ones. And then you need to know, have I got a long arm, a medium or short arm wing mirror? And the team in the shop can help you with that. Just give us a call and we can talk you through which cover you need. Just ring us and you can do that. The number is on the website for the shop at thatleisureshop.com. Really helpful team, and we can make sure you're ordering the right one. And they come in a range of colours as well, black or white. We used to have grey, silver, blue, but we've waited months for these things to come back into stock. It's been real issues of supply of plastic, I guess, or the stuff that goes in them. And the colours just have disappeared. So at the moment, we're limited to black or white, Fiat or Ford. We're hoping to get some Renault ones soon, and also some drop-down covers for Pilote wing mirrors on an A-class motorhome. We were talking about those before on a previous episode. So get in touch with the shop, the team at thatleisureshop.com, and we'll let you know what we've got in stock.
And £120 might sound like a lot of money for something you don't think you need, but as Matt says, replacing a wing mirror is a darn sight more expensive. So it
absolutely.
is an investment.
Well, it's also the inconvenience when you break one, because you're trying to drive along with no wing mirror. It is really difficult. It's also potentially illegal. You have to have a driver's side mirror by law for an MOT. So it's really important that you've got the protection, because they are expensive.
It is the Motorhome Matt podcast, brought to you with That Leisure Shop. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
I ask the stupid questions, and Matt here, he's the expert. And today you've got a very special guest. Tell us, Matt, all about her.
We have the lovely Kat from the website Wandering Bird. I can't say that. From the website Wandering Bird.
The wobbly website.
The wobbly website. I actually met Kat, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. We met at the NEC, and she was kind of coming up with the idea of launching a vlog for recording her travels, and we were discussing how she could monetize it. And YouTube at the time was still kind of aspirational, and we were brainstorming this, and I referred back to this, and she had completely forgotten about it.
Hi, welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Kat from Wandering Bird, and this is Motorhome Matt.
Honestly, she couldn't help it. You're here. You've actually made it. We've pinned you down. We made you turn left as you headed north up the M5.
I know.
And Kat's here in the studio. For those of you who don't know, we're joined today by the lovely Kat Bird from Wandering Bird, the website, YouTube channel, Facebook. What else?
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Thanks for
It's
having
lovely
me.
to have you here, finally, at last. Now, we met, I remember, back in 2019 at the NEC. Do you remember this?
I do now you've reminded me of it. I think I made more of an impression on you.
Yeah, well, you did. I remember being quite taken, thinking, wow, this woman's a nutter. And you were heading off in your motorhome. You quit your job.
I did.
Heading off in the motorhome full time. And you were going to start vlogging and blogging your travels. Mm-hmm. And you were kind of pitching us, really. We were there trying to sell a motorhome hire program that we were launching. And I remember encouraging you to go off and do it and write lots of content and write courses on how people can get involved in this amazing pastime and encourage them to do it. But what's been the highlight for you since then? I mean, that was 4 years ago. What's been the highlight? It's been a long journey,
Well,
isn't it?
meeting you again, obviously.
Well, obviously. That's a given.
It has been incredible, an absolutely amazing 4 years. There have been, don't get me wrong, there have been some downsides. We won't talk about 2020 and the ability to move anywhere, and getting stuck in lockdown in France was interesting. But I think the highlight has probably been the growth of Wandering Bird. Mm-hmm. It has way surpassed my expectations or dreams or any. I didn't really have any ambitions. I didn't really know what I was doing.
No.
I quit my job without any plan to have any sort of income or whatever. Our plan was to live on my husband's income, and we downsized so that we could do that and travel. And I got bored 2 months in.
Because at that point you were living part-time on a boat and part-time in the motorhome, weren't you? Is that right?
We still had the boat, so we got rid of the house and all our stuff when I decided to quit my job.
Yeah.
But we still had the boat. We kept the boat as our base in the UK, and he still had to work, so I had to come back sort of 1 week a month or whatever for clients. So that was a good base for him. But no, generally I was in the van most of the time.
Yeah.
Probably about 80-20.
And of course, back then, no one had really done what you were embarking on doing. I might be wrong there, but certainly my perspective was that what you were doing was something quite different. You were going to be leading as a woman, driving around in a motorhome and journaling all of that experience and trying to monetize it. And I remember the conversation we had was, and I asked you, well, how are you going to monetize it? And you said, I don't know.
I didn't know.
And it was quite new, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube was obviously in existence. And
Yep.
I said you should really build a web-based, email-based list, which you've done, haven't you? I'm not taking any credit for what you've done, by the way. It was my idea. But that's what you've done, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you've built a really loyal following.
Well, so I started like many people do with YouTube, and I think you kind of assume that you'll put a couple of videos out and then you'll make enough money to live on.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way.
Nope.
At all. And even now, I've got 30,000 followers now on YouTube, which I'm incredibly grateful for, but I couldn't live on what I earn from YouTube. It's just not possible. And I also realised that I much prefer writing, and I really enjoyed blogging, and I really enjoyed being able to answer people's questions sort of in a written form and take photographs to go along with that. I really enjoy that side of things. And that's how the website, I now get about 150,000 people a month on the website.
Wow.
And it's huge and it's fantastic, but it grew to what it is. Initially it started today we went and got coffee from this place, and today we went here, and it was lovely, but it was basically an online diary. And it grew from people emailing or taking the time to contact me and asking questions. And I would create a blog post to answer that question. And that's exactly how the ebook started. People would then say, oh, your website's so big, I can't find what I need.
Right.
Could you just put all the places together and in an ebook? So that's how that started, and obviously expanded on it. And then the courses came from the ebooks, because people were like, oh, could you just film a video that shows me how to do whatever I was talking about? And it's grown from there, very organically.
You built this whole brand, haven't you, around Wandering Bird? And it as a brand, if I can say that, it goes to the shows and you're giving talks as Wandering Bird. The website is bigger than the YouTube channel, I'd say. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And the website is where I focus most of my energy and most of my time, because it is so big, and it takes a lot of time and effort to keep it going. But
and can I say, I know what a difference you've made to people's lives, and my hat's off to you, Kat, because even yesterday we were both at the balloon fiesta in Bristol. In fact, we've both still got our passes on to get out into the private car park, and a man said to me, oh, I saw that Kat was going to the balloon fiesta, so I thought, what a great idea. And he travelled from Hampshire, that's a couple of hours, and thought, what a great idea just to go to the balloon fiesta, not to meet you, I hasten to add. And I said, well, you're here. I said, Kat's wandering around, look up, you'll see her because she's so tall. Or just listen out, you'll definitely hear her.
Or dangling from a balloon.
Yeah, sadly not. No, I don't mean that. But he was inspired, and he said, would you thank her? And so thank you from him. I don't know his name. I don't know what you want to thank you for. But he was you'd made a difference to his life. And I know you have positively impacted thousands of people making this decision to buy a motorhome or use a motorhome, go travelling in a motorhome. And is that why you do it? Is that what it's all about for you? Is it, or is there something more to it than just making a difference?
It obviously didn't start like that, because I had no clue that it would grow into what it's grown into, and thank you for that. It's really sweet, and that's the biggest thing that keeps me going, because as you know, running a business is hard work. I have no experience in running my own business. I've always been employed. I used to be an air traffic controller, and it's such a complete culture change to go from getting a paycheck in and working for somebody else to suddenly running your own business, and you have to wear so many hats. And the learning curve is probably the thing I love most about it, is the learning and constantly trying to get better and improve things. And that's what I love. But the thing that makes it all worthwhile and all that hard work is people contacting me or coming up to the shows and just saying, thank you for making this easier, or explaining this, or pushing me to come and do it. Those are my favourite ones. People are like, I've just quit my job and I've got a van, I'm going to go travelling. And I love that. I just, it's lovely to feel that you've had a positive impact on somebody's outlook on life.
Yeah. And
so many people feel like they either can't do it, or it's for people with huge amounts of money, or they're in some way sort of prohibited from, like you say, getting into this wonderful lifestyle. And I love being able to make that little bit more accessible for them.
Is that what makes you tick? You say it's a business, and every business has core values. If I can call you a solopreneur, because it's your business and it's you. But what is it that gets you out of bed in your motorhome in the morning and do what you do? Why do you do it?
Mainly my spaniel. And he jumps on my head and says, no, Mum, it is time for a walk. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But no, it is absolutely that. I really enjoy being able to inspire people to go and have adventures. I really enjoy being able to show them what's possible. And I think part of that is also to improve myself. The first 2 months when I quit my job, it sounds idyllic, doesn't it? Quit your job and go travelling. And I did have a couple of months where I was like, this is amazing, but then I needed more. And I've always been quite a driven person. I've always needed a goal, and just planning the next day's route just wasn't enough. And I think being able to build up a business and turn a hobby into a business, which again is something I've had no experience in previously, and just being able to see where that can go. And also figuring out what I enjoy doing, because, you know, there is opportunity to work with brands and there's opportunity to do so much in this industry, but not all of them are for me personally. And it's been really fun being able to try lots of different things and find what I enjoy, but it always comes back to trying to help people and trying to inspire people to make the most out of their free time, whether they've got forever or a weekend.
Yeah, it's hard work though, isn't it?
It's very hard work.
It doesn't stop, and you don't stop.
No, I know.
But it hasn't always gone to plan though. When I met you, you were married, and I met Mr. WB. He was very much a voice off camera.
Yep.
You've since gone in separate directions.
Yep.
And you're very much now pro female solo travelling, or certainly solo travelling. And as a female, that's very much a focus for you, obviously. But can you talk to me a bit about that transition? You know, what was that experience like?
I think I'm very lucky in a lot of ways because I've been able to experience the whole sort of range. We initially started travelling, my husband and with my daughter, and then we homeschooled her and travelled for a year. So I had all of that experience and also all the downsides that came with that, because that's quite hard work when there's three of you in a small space, especially a teenager who doesn't particularly want to learn maths or science or whatever was on the agenda for that day. That there were some interesting times during that, but it was also incredibly rewarding when she got the results, and it had been worthwhile. So then we went from that to travelling as a couple, and again that came with its own huge pros but also some challenges, and got a dog and we were able to go for very long walks and give each other some space at times. That was very useful. And then he sadly got really ill. What year are we in? About a year and a bit ago now, and that has then led to him deciding that he doesn't want to travel, and we've gone our separate ways.
Yeah.
And he's still around. I still see him. We ride bikes together and things, but we don't really travel together anymore. And I'm now experiencing it as a solo, and that has been a huge learning curve, because I thought I knew quite a lot about motorhoming, and I'd done it full time for several years now, but I was stuck in a campsite, too scared to drive the van, because I'd never really done it. He preferred to drive, I preferred to navigate, and then suddenly I was on my own and had to figure out literally how to get the van out of the campsite. Why did they put the white pegs in the wrong place? And they had a speed sign, and I was, how am I supposed to get the van around that? And it took me a couple of weeks, and then I would go out at like 5-6 o'clock in the morning when it was quiet to practice driving this enormous bit. I was terrified.
It was you at 5 in the morning
that
revving
was
the
me.
engine.
That was me. I was so nervous, and then I made myself plan a trip to Scotland. And that was supposed to be with myself and a friend, and she had her own van, so we were going up to do it in convoy, and she broke down on day one. So then I literally spent 3 weeks, I think it was, touring around Scotland on my own. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. There's a freedom to being able to go off on your own. You don't have to sort of clear your schedule with anyone else. If it's a rainy day and you want to curl up, well, I don't really curl up with the book. I curl up with my laptop and do more work often. But, I didn't have to travel to anyone else's schedule. I could go where I wanted to go. I could drive up some crazy roads that everyone thought I was nuts to go up. It was fun. And then since then I've done Ireland, and I've just come back from Iceland, and I did that on my own, and it was epic.
3 weeks in Iceland, were you there?
Yeah, so the whole trip was 5.5 weeks. So it took a week to drive to Denmark, and then 2 days on a ferry to go across to Iceland. I had just over 3 weeks in Iceland, then all the way back.
Now, it's my dream go-to place. How much was the ferry?
£5,500.
See, that's insane.
But if you flew in and hired a van for that amount of time, it would cost you more.
I've got one. I don't want to hire one.
Well, then take it to Iceland.
It's $5,500. That's
it's
mad.
Iceland.
Yeah. Well, of course, you went in your own motorhome. You went in a Bailey-owned motorhome.
Yes. So I worked with Bailey Bristol for that one, and they were kind enough to loan me a vehicle for the trip.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. The vehicle was great, and the experience was brilliant, and I had a fantastic time.
Now, I know you're very motivated right now to be pro female solo travelling and encouraging other females to consider taking to the wheel. Maybe you've lost a husband through separation, or they've passed away. What does that look like for the future for Wandering Bird? What are you doing about that?
Mostly what I'm doing is sharing my experiences.
Right.
So I'm sharing certainly the fear and all the things that either you could go wrong or do go wrong, and how you deal with that when you're on it. And it's not so much just being a girl, although I am a girl, so that's more why that. But I think anybody who wants to travel on their own has these fears. I think men are generally more reluctant to put their hand up and go, yeah, I'm really scared or intimidated by that, but it doesn't mean they don't have those feelings. I've had several guys come up or email me saying, yeah, I was a bit intimidated by that too. And I think there's something about traveling on your own, whether you've got it in a van or just a backpack or however you choose to travel, being self-sufficient enough. And with a motorhome, there's so many things that could go wrong that you feel like you need to know everything about them. That's something I've learned, is that you don't necessarily need to know everything about everything. I'm certainly not very good on electronics, but you need to know somebody that you can call who can help you with that problem.
Because the thing is, a lot of the fears are actually irrational, aren't they?
Irrational, unlikely to happen is probably how I'd put it.
Yeah, okay.
I think that there is always going, it's like any fear, there's always going to be a small chance that might happen. A lot of the fears people have with me are over, wild camping or staying on your own in the middle of nowhere. Now I spent 5 weeks in Ireland, and I didn't go in a campsite once, apart from to pay to use their facilities. I never stayed overnight in a campsite.
Right.
And it was brilliant. And by the end of that, I was absolutely fine wild camping anywhere. But people who are nervous about it, you don't have to do it. And that's one of my big bugbears with this whole sort of van life thing, is people feel like they have to stay off grid and they have to stay in dodgy places, and you absolutely don't. Go in a campsite if it makes you feel better.
Well, go where you feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
And safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know mental health is also a big focus for you, your own, and also other people's. Yep. Now, as someone who is YouTubing and sharing posts on social regularly, you must get a lot of online stupidity and comments. I can imagine. I mean, we get them here on the Motorhome Matt podcast. And people can get quite rude. It's quite easy to hide behind a keyboard, isn't it? And hurl that comment and drop that grenade and walk away. How do you deal with that, especially when you're on your own? Because it's your business, it's you. You've got no one else to moan at.
Yeah, that I really, really struggled with that when I first started. It became something that I almost didn't want to look at my YouTube comments. And there's still times now where I can go several weeks without looking at them, because you get hundreds might be pushing it a little bit, but you get a lot of nice comments and positive comments, or even positive constructive feedback. I'm very open to that. But it's that one comment where someone says something mean or unpleasant. And as a girl, it's often about your appearance. I don't know if guys get the same thing, but other females that I've spoken to, they get similar comments about that. And that's really hard. Even if you just go, I'm never going to meet them, and you can just delete the comment and block them, and that's fine. But you've still got to read that comment in order to delete it. And then it's something that you sort of think about for a long time. So I really struggled with that. I have got better at it. But it does affect your mental health, of course it does. And combined with what you said earlier about me not stopping, I think I am still in that learning phase of sort of managing my own energy and managing my own sort of how much I've got to give to other people versus how much I keep for myself. And that's something I've tried really hard this year. I mean, last year was the first time that I openly put my hand up, having struggled with depression probably for about 20 years. That I openly put my hand up and goes, no, I need some help. And I got some tablets and I feel brilliant. I feel great. But it's taken a long time and a lot of personal work for me to get there. Yeah. It's not something I found easy to do at all. I'm very much one of these people, I should be able to just power through, and I should be, better than that, even though that sounds incredibly arrogant. But I should just be able to fix this and be okay. And it was accepting the fact that I wasn't.
And have you found that this industry is very male dominated? How well have you been received into it as a female doing what you do?
I've been very well received into it. I don't know if that's partly because I'm going at it from a slightly different approach than perhaps mainstream journalists or other people might be. I think I've worked with lots of females from, I write for some of the magazine, magazine, and my contact there is female. Yeah. But I also do the Warner shows, and that's mainly male dominated. And I think it's quite balanced. I think there is a element of trying to get the industry as a whole on board with the changing sort of more online and blogging and vlogging and all of this thing, whereas I think whilst the magazines and the shows are fantastic and they're still obviously very popular, there is another aspect of this that has sort of crept up through YouTube and blogs and everything. But there's also an element of trying to keep it to people who know what they're talking about rather than, AI generated content and all this stuff. So there does need to be a balance, I think.
So you've been non-stop then for 4 years. I mean, you literally don't stop, Kat. But that can't continue, can it? When do you actually get to take your foot off the pedal, off the accelerator, and take a break?
It's a very good question, and again, something I'm taking this year. So I have worked pretty much full time, certainly since lockdown happened. So I'd worked a lot on my website before 2020, and so 2019 I worked on learning SEO and building up a website and creating this brand and YouTube as well. And then obviously 2020 hit and all the pandemic and everything, and all the traffic died. And that was when I started creating things like ebooks and courses and stuff. So I think I've got 15 now in the last 3 years, and even in the last 6 months. So I've just done one on Ireland, and I've just done one on Iceland, and they're both live now. And it's a balance, and I'm pulling back very slightly from YouTube, going to creating a little bit less content on there, and also on social media, in order to focus on a bit more time for myself, but also focusing back on the website. And I'm doing quite a lot of shows as well, and I enjoy doing those, so they're good fun.
They are great fun, yeah. And are you continuing to live in the motorhome full time then at the moment? Yeah.
Yep.
You and Mac.
Me and Mac are in the motorhome full time.
Brilliant. He's a nutter.
He is, but he's lovely.
He is lovely. As long as you've got a ball or food.
Yes.
He's your best friend.
He is.
He's your best friend. Well, we're very excited that we're working with you and our shop team at That Leisure Shop. And we're very excited to be promoting a lot of the content on your website, selling your books, and you're helping us grow our business as well and promoting what we're doing, which we're over the moon about. But can I give you permission to slow down? Is that all right?
Yes,
and
please.
Actually leverage what you've built. What you've built is amazing. It's a massive library of really useful content, and it's okay to go, you know what, I'm going to have a week off where I'm just going to be myself and hide behind my own windbreak. That's okay.
I'm so bad at that. I think that's one of the reasons I want to stop YouTube especially, is because when you do go anywhere, you feel compelled to film it, and you feel so you never get out of that. Whereas I've made the choice, well, if I don't film it and I'm deliberately not filming this week or whatever, then I don't feel compelled to do all the stuff that goes around with that.
So, Kat, where can people come and see you speaking at one of these future events that are coming up? Where can they see you in the flesh?
So I will be at the Shepton Mallet show with Warners in the middle of September, and then I'm talking at the NEC October show all about Iceland. I'm there every day sharing all about the Iceland adventure, so hopefully I can see some people then.
I'm sure you will. Gosh, tens of thousands of people going to that again. I'm sure it will sell out. But what about online? Where can people find you online?
I'm everywhere, as you said. So if you want some more advice for motorhoming or van life, then come to wandering-bird.com and you can find all my books and courses there. But if you want just to come and chat with me, then you're very welcome to join my Wandering Bird Facebook group, which is a group for everybody, whether you're just getting started looking to buy your first van, or whether you have more experience and want some sort of ideas for places and things. It's a really nice group in there.
It is a really nice group. It's very friendly. Yeah, there's no sarcasm. Nobody's rude. It's a lovely group.
I don't tolerate that. I'm very heavy with the block button on that group.
Are you?
Well, I'm not interested in it being the biggest group on Facebook.
That's why my post got rejected.
It was, yeah. To be fair, I think I have just kicked you out entirely now.
And if you are looking to buy any of Kat's really, really good guides, they're really helpful, incredibly useful, and very informative. Kat has very kindly given a code that you can use. Just type in Motorhome Matt into the discount code on the website to get a discount off all your guides and your books. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Very kind of you. Well, it's great having you. Thank you again for turning left as you headed north. And you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
We are very excited to be working with you and the shop team.
Yep.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah,
really
it's a
beautiful.
lovely shop.
I've never seen a shop like it. I love all the wood and the way you've done it up, and brilliant. So if people haven't been past it yet, then do down the M5. It's fantastic.
Yeah, just off Junction 21 for Weston-super-Mares, where we are, isn't it? Toward Bristol. Anyway, thank you, Kat, again for coming in. We're really excited about the collaboration we're going to be doing together on the shop. And thanks again for visiting us. It's been great to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
That's YouTuber and personality in the motorhome and caravanning industry, Kat Bird. What a nice person, Matt.
She is lovely, yeah, she's great. And very professional as well, I have to say. And I think that's been a real pride for us as a team here to collaborate with her and work with her is because the business acumen she's got. And she's not a businesswoman historically. She's an air traffic controller, as she said, but she really has built a formidable business and a really helpful website that thousands of people are visiting. So for us to be collaborating with her is a real honour. So thanks for that, Kat, and we are excited as to what the future brings us both.
Absolutely. She gave us quite a nice email plug for the shop there, didn't she?
She did, yes. And last week her email went out, and what was great is she highlighted a fact that for us as small businesses we know really well, is that we're often cheaper than Amazon. So Amazon's so convenient, isn't it? I'm a big Amazon buyer.
That's why people are buying from Amazon, not because necessarily they're cheaper, but it's going to turn up the same day or the day after.
Yeah, and there's a lot of trust in the room with Amazon. Any problem, the return process is always going to be simple. But Kat observed that we were in our own shop much cheaper than Amazon, and I know that to be true. I know what we have to list stuff on Amazon for. It's a lot more expensive because we have to cover their fees, and their fees are really quite big. So if you are considering buying any product, just my trick is I use it. This is a hack, right? Is go on Amazon or eBay and look at the name of the shop, and then go and Google the name of that shop, and maybe look at their returns process, look at their reviews, and if you think, yeah, they look good, buy it direct. You may save a few pounds.
There you go, inside information. So if you're new to motorhoming or want tips for touring Europe, going off-grid or maintaining your motorhome, you should check out the Wandering Bird website. You can also get her books at that leisure shop.
Yeah, we're now stocking them. So Kat has written 3 books. I've got them here. Here's 2 of them. The other one's behind me. So Motorhoming Made Simple is on display behind my head. The Complete Guide to Motorhoming in Europe. I have to say that's a very useful book. And one the team here in the shop were really impressed with is the Road Trip Logbook. And Nikki, who runs the higher side of the business here, Motorhome Holiday Company, was really taken with this. So what a great way of recording a journey, and was going to start promoting this to our higher customers. So I think it's a good idea.
Christmas is coming. It really is. Go and get yours right now. It's the Motorhome Matt podcast, brought to you with thatleisureShop.com. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Good to have you here. My favourite part, I say it every week, I don't want to bore you, but it's so good. The Q&A, the question and answer, where you, the listener and the viewer, get in touch. Rob Cottrell was the first in the queue.
Hi Matt, Rob Cottrell here. Just catching up some of your podcasts whilst sitting by the pool in Las Vegas. It's over 100 Fahrenheit here. Keep the podcast coming. They're great fun to listen to. Hope you're well.
So what's the question there?
He didn't have one. He was just flexing.
He's just showing off because he's around the pool in Las Vegas.
Motorhome Matt is in Vegas. There we are.
Nice to know that you're listening, Rob. Thanks very much. And we're not jealous at all much. Do you think it's won anything on the casino?
100 degrees. That's pretty hot, isn't it?
I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago. It was
Were you?
114. 114.
That's too much. That's too much.
I was in the pool or in the sea most of the time.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, they were sort of dragging me out saying, swim free, swim free.
What's that whale? Willie? Is it Willie the whale? No, what was he called?
Free Willy.
Free Willy.
No, that was your hobby. That wasn't a film. So anyway, Rob's in Las Vegas. David Cassidy, the singer, he famously did residencies in Las Vegas with Sheena Easton. Very famously, David Cassidy sadly no longer with us. But there is another David Cassidy in Herefordshire who's mailed us. I mean, who'd have thought? Just been reading your recent email. The towing article was very interesting, and I never realised why the test was dropped. I read with interest the bit about the rear camera with the plug-in screen, but I can't find any details about it. We have a much-loved Bessacar E560 motorhome and tow a smart car. It might be useful to keep an eye on the car while on an A-frame and also on its trailer when we go to France. Would the camera work for a length of time, and how would it attach to the motorhome body? Your thoughts, as this would be appreciated. David Cassidy is worried about losing his car.
He is, yeah.
So thanks for the question there, David, in Herefordshire. David Cassidy in Herefordshire. I wonder if he lives near the Partridge Family. David, you must have heard so much of this over the years, and I apologise.
I'm sure it's not the first time.
From the heart of my bottom. Okay then, have you got, say, an answer for David Cassidy in Herefordshire?
I got 3 answers. Hopefully make up for Keith's rudeness. This is a brilliant reversing camera system from Maypole. It's wireless. Now this one, the camera needs power. And so does the screen, but the screen's powered off your cigarette lighter. I'm not allowed to call it that, am I?
No, it's the 12-volt supply.
12-volt accessory socket.
You got it.
The little black thing with the two silver springs on the side.
You used to put the cigarette lighter into.
And the camera needs power from your rear light or reversing light. Somewhere it can get power. Obviously, putting it to your reversing light means it only come on when you go backwards. You want to keep it on the caravan where you're travelling, so you're going to need to get a permanent live to the camera. That's one solution.
Rough price?
115 quid.
Right.
So you'll see that one at the NEC show.
If you're listening to this podcast 5 years down the line, it's going to be more expensive than that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Where are we? September, October 23. And then this is from Falcon. I love this. This is, again, a wireless camera, and the camera doesn't need any power. The screen, actually, that's not the right one. Hang on. This one's from Falcon. I love this one. This is a camera. It's literally just the camera. And you download an app, which you plug into download onto your iPhone or smartphone or iPad, and it's called Road View.
Or Android.
You and your Android.
Yeah.
It's just a camera. What I love about this, there's no screen, you use your phone, which is pretty neat. And it's magnetic, so it will literally go back onto the back of your car. But if you're putting it on the back of a motorhome or caravan, you can bond this little plate to the back wall of your leisure vehicle, and it comes with toothpaste. No, it's not. It's glue. Don't put that in your mouth. Bond this to the back of the caravan. Instructions are all enclosed. And then you just stick the camera on when you want it for the journey. I think it lasts about 6 or 8 hours on, which was David's question. And then you can take it off for security, so no one's going to nick it.
Yeah, because part of his question was keeping an eye on the car, on the trailer, or on the back, so you can position it wherever you want, David.
Yeah. We've used them when we're dragging our exhibition trailer along. We want to keep an eye on that. Really handy for that. We actually use it on the back of the trailer, so when we're reversing, we can see beyond the trailer into the space we're backing the trailer into, which is really handy. And it's a long enough range.
And what sort of price for that one?
Oh, throwing the box on the floor, mate. 176 quid. There we are.
Okay.
Very clever. So you have to have a phone to work with that one. And this last one, £320, includes the screen. So you plug that into the 12-volt accessory socket. The camera is wireless again. It doesn't need power, so it connects to its own screen. And you've got the whole system there ready to go.
Thanks very much for your question, David. So how much is it going to cost you?
That one's £320.
So there's a big difference in price ranges. Why?
It's about the hardware inside, I suppose, and the amount of packaging and the effort that goes into pulling these products together, I suppose. So it depends on your pocket, but it's not a lot of money, not really. If you think you're going to install a factory-fitted one from the main dealer to your car or to your motorhome, you could be spending £1,000.
And thanks, David. Let's hope your car remains on the back of the motorhome. Question for you. I was travelling here today on the lovely, glorious M5, and there was somebody in a motorhome, and they were towing a car at the back, and he had the signs on it, but he was going into the overtaking lane and overtaking vehicles. Is that allowed when you're towing?
Lane 2 or lane 3?
Lane 3.
No, that's not allowed.
No, I didn't think so. Don't do it.
No, because the car's considered a trailer, so
Yeah.
it shouldn't be in lane 3.
I thought that too. Don't do it.
That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you correct us if we're wrong, but we're not. This
Good.
man will come round and sort you out.
Good spot, Keith. Do
Yeah.
you flash them? Say, oi, out
No,
my way.
I couldn't be bothered.
What were you doing in the outside lane?
I wasn't. I was in the middle lane. He was overtaking
Well,
somebody
you
in
always
front of me.
are.
That's how comes I could see him.
You're always in the middle lane.
Yeah, middle lane hogger.
Keep left.
Yeah, keep left. Yeah, I like pulling up. You see, when people have been, they come off a motorway and they've been hogging like the overtaken lane or the middle lane. I like running the window down and saying, "Bonjour, comment allez-vous?" And they say, "What?" And I said, "Oh, you're not French. Why are you on the wrong side of the road then, Muppet?"
You're one of those, aren't you?
Yeah, I am one of those. You're right. Primrose is in Alton. If water companies are so against cassette toilet chemicals, what about all the toilet cleaners, loo flush blocks and bleaches used in the average toilet? It seems very odd to pick on cassette emptying when so many other chemicals are used in toilets by householders. I don't think water companies are against them. They're advising, their advice. Remember, they're managing the sewage and the water system. If we all just started dumping our you-know-what anywhere we liked, it's going to be like going back to Victorian days. I mean, as it is already, swimming in rivers and seas are just like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. They're not against it. It was contrary advice. Contrary advice is what I'm trying to say. And I think it was a bit confusing from Wessex Water when they said, no, don't put your cassette down your mains toilet. But, Thetford were very kind to clarify that. mixed with the right amount of water. As Qualchem said as well, no problem. So you keep emptying it down your toilet. I will be.
Just be a good citizen, Primrose in Alton, and thanks very much for your question. Now, if people want to ask a question, record one, or write one into us, Matt, how do they do it?
Very easily. Just go to mhmp.info/Ask Matt. You hit the orange button, record your question, or fill out the form.
That's the Motorhome Matt podcast.info, mhmp.info/Ask Matt. Do say where you're from, but we'd like to know where in the country you're from. We got a map with pins in it. I described it a few podcasts ago. You can leave us a review as well. What should people log on to do that then, Matt?
Again, mhmp.info/review. It's getting easier, this, isn't it?
Couldn't be easier. mhmp.info/review. And finally, Matt,
if you would love to share this with a friend, we would love it if you would share this podcast with a friend. If you're listening to it and think, I know someone that would find this helpful, useful, or interesting, would you share it with them? Would you send them a link? We would be very grateful.
Or even if they just want a good laugh.
That's possible.